Here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 251, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
We are back after a week hiatus. I apologize for that. Originally we were going to have a guest host in here replacing Kip, who was traveling, and then I realized, oh hey, my kids aren't here at the house, and my wife and I can actually go out and do stuff. So we went out for dinner and had some drinks and didn't come home until later, and I didn't feel like recording then. So
you got to be adults, huh?
yeah, spring break was last week. So fuck. Spring break was last week, and so we sent my kids off for a couple of days with my parents so that we didn't have to take off work. So it worked out well.
Nice.
How about you? What have you been doing?
Well, I narrowly escaped a blizzard in Colorado.
Right.
Speaking of spring break.
Yeah, that's very spring break-ish.
I managed to do that. It caused me to get home at 4 o'clock in the morning on a school day, but hey, I accomplished it.
Yeah.
But the big stuff, the big news, I'm surprised it's not on ESPN, but my office decided to do a bags tournament, also known as cornhole, which I refuse to call it that, so it's bags.
Yeah, I agree. Don't call it cornhole.
It was actually a league. And I had never played before, and they had to talk me into joining the league. I thought, well, you know what the heck, it's a 5-game minimum. I'll at least get to play 5 games.
Yeah, there you go.
So it was a best of 3. Each game was a best of 3 series. And regular season, the guy who'd never played before went undefeated. 5-0, baby.
Look at that.
5-0. Apparently, I'm good at this game.
It's not really hard. You're throwing bags into a hole.
So were the other people, and I still whipped their butts. So we had playoffs. I was the number 1 seed in the playoffs because I was the only undefeated person. And I got a first-round bye.
Tell me you lost in the second game, in the second round.
The second round came. I beat that guy pretty handily.
Oh, nice.
He had to win his game to get to me. He had to go all 5. He had to go all 3 games to get to get 2 wins.
Nice.
He got to me, and I just beat the hell out of him for 2 games in a row.
Just rolled him.
I rolled him. And then I got to the championship game, and I played well. I played some of my best games, but the guy I played against was unconscious. Holy cow, he couldn't miss. So I lost in the championship game. The only time I lost the entire season was the championship game.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch him play. Holy cow. There was a bunch of times where I would throw first, throw it in the hole. He'd throw his in the hole. My second throw would go in the hole. His second throw would go in the hole. Like, oh my God. And there was one time I got 3 in the hole. He still scored points.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was one of those games. It's like,
yeah,
you won, man. You deserve it.
So did you guys play where you canceled out points?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's sometimes that can make the games go really long. So
yeah, we started at 4:30 with the wild card round, and then I'd say the championship game ended somewhere a little after 6.
That's not bad.
So we had 2 boards up for the 2 wild card games, and then for the 2 semifinals, and then 1 board for the finals. So basically, 3 games worth
Yeah.
of board time
So
in almost 2 hours.
the
So it wasn't
real
too bad.
question is, did you have the rule that you could not throw bags unless you were holding a beverage?
We did not have that rule.
Because that's one of my house rules. Whenever we're playing washers or bags or any of those drinking games like that, you must have a beer or a drink in your hand while you're throwing. And
Well, you do
believe it
have to
or
remember this was a work league.
yeah, but I know where
It
you
took place
work.
in the office.
I know where yes, and that has never stopped anyone from having drinks in
It
your
sounded
office.
good. There was beer there. I
I
had a beer.
have been there.
Yeah. No,
That's
it was
awesome.
it was normal situation. We could have drank if we wanted to. Some guys did, but they
Right.
would put their beer down when they threw. Maybe that's why they weren't as good. But
See, I've found that the beer actually helps balance you so you don't end up getting, lopsided. So it
so have you ever got drunk enough where you're holding your beer and go to throw the bag and you threw the beer instead?
no, 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 nope. That would be like
it,
sacrilege in my world.
it would be sacrilege, but it also could be he just had too many beers.
Now I have played so I've played bags, but the game that I prefer over bags is washers. Similar concept, it's just you're throwing washers into round holes as opposed to throwing bags onto a board. But I've been drunk enough, and I'm already a like kind of an asshole when I play those games anyway. I was talking smack with the guy I was playing against, and instead of throwing his washer, he turned around and just kind of chucked it at me and hit me right between the eyes. And actually, like I had drank enough. It was drinking summer brew, so it was vodka, beer, and lemonade mixed together, and it wouldn't stop bleeding. So not only was it a head wound that bleeds a lot anyway, but my blood
Your
was
blood
pretty
was thin.
thin. So it was pretty constant, and well, I have a good laugh about it. We all laugh about it now. I was laughing at it then because I didn't really feel it. It didn't hurt. So
You probably just thought you were sweating.
yeah, just like, wow, what is this? What? Oh, I'm bleeding. This isn't right. But yeah, needless to say, no one would play washers with me after that. I'm like, come on. But yeah, I love playing bags. I love playing washers. I like those kind of games, and I uh
Yeah.
I have to say I'm pretty good at them too. So I enjoy them.
Well, you and I will have to have a Geekvice off sometime.
There you go.
But yeah, so I had played washers, and I don't remember if I was good at it or not. It was a long time ago,
Yeah.
you know, maybe 20 years ago. And I played, okay, I said I never had played bags before. I played once at Chicken and Pickle north of the river, and it was outside, and I couldn't even hit the board.
Oh wow.
I couldn't even hit the board. So so them talking me into playing was a hard sell because like I can't even hit the board. Are you guys serious? And then it turns out I'm actually pretty good at the
Well,
game.
that's really funny. Like I've been playing bags was something that would be at our family reunions that we would play when we go up to Nebraska for family reunions, and um, like so that was just normal for me. And then my uncle had made a set of washers a while back, and he would bring those to the other side of the family reunions and get-togethers, and so playing washers and bags is just something I've been doing since I was a little kid. And yeah, I don't own my own bag set, but I built my own washer set. So bags
Nice.
is bags is next on my list, and I want to rebuild my washer set because it's kind of gotten, when you're throwing metal washers, it really dings the crap out of the wood, and um, some of the seams and stuff are starting to fall apart. So it's like, well, I need to scrap that one and rebuild it. Put a little extra time and effort into building it, sealing it up. So,
Yeah.
but but
Well,
yeah,
that's a nice project,
yeah,
you know.
I'd like to build my own bag set too. That would be.
Well, if you make a bag set, you should do what the guy at the office did. He put the company branding on it,
Oh
so
yeah,
you could put the Geekvice logo on the
there you
boards.
go. There you go. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, the
Lacquer it
boards are
up
pretty
and
sweet.
yeah,
Yeah.
all in. I like that idea. Um, well, something else we need to include here in this little announcement start is the I don't know if you guys know this or not, but these guys at Prolific Games make cool games, and they have their new Kickstarter is out today. Started at 10 a.m. this morning. They are already almost at 5,000 of their 12,000 goal. They have 92 backers already in less than a day, so that's awesome. There is a link in the show notes on YouTube, and there'll be a link in the show notes for the audio file too. So if you're listening to this, go check that out. Click that link. This is Flapjacks and Sasquatches company store expansion. This is super awesome, and I know Kip has already backed this thing. I have not backed it yet because I'm still trying to convince my wife that I need to do this this top pledge of $175 to get the cool uh, like signed and etched like wooden box. Etched isn't the right word. What is that? Like engraved? I don't know.
I don't know. Let's go with etched. I got nothing.
Yeah, it solid wood handcrafted box. It'll hold all three of the expansions in it, and or the base game and the two expansions. And so like I think it would be really cool. It's limited to 50. There's already been 11 of them backed, so I still got a chance. Um, I doubt that my wife's gonna let me do it, but
Come
whatever. I
on.
hope in one hand and shit in the other and see which fills up first, right?
That's what I've been told. Yes.
um, so the pledge levels here are pretty simple and self-explanatory. These are the best pledge levels that I've ever seen because they are so goddamn simple. Like some of these get so hard to tell what it is you're gonna get. These are not that. First of all, for $1, you get a hug from Bill. That is pretty awesome. Now you have to go to a convention and find him in order to get this hug, but it's a hug from Bill. I mean, who doesn't want to pay $1 for that?
I'm sure we could make that pretty awkward if we needed to.
Right? $20 gets you the company store expansion. None of the other stuff, but it gets you all the stretch goals that they hit, and but it'll get you the expansion. $40 gets you both expansions, the company store and Cup of Joe, which was their last one that introduced the lumberjack cards. And then $60 gives you the base game plus both expansions. And then the last one, $175, gets you the expansion. It gets you the box, the collector's box, and it gets you wooden tokens, wooden chop tokens.
Wooden
So,
nickels.
yeah.
Just, no, no,
No, that
that's
one gets
extra.
you that
Sorry,
gets you
that's
the
extra.
wooden chop tokens.
Yeah,
Then
those
you
are
get
cool too. I'm gonna have to revise my pledge to get the wooden chop tokens.
oh yeah, because like I don't know about you, but the cardboard ones are starting to get like marred up on the edges of them from where you're trying to pick them up off the table or moving them around, or but they also get played a lot, so it gets like dumped out. Like getting the wooden ones would be really cool. They look awesome. And then
Yeah, plus wood tokens. I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty much all you need to know.
I mean, the sole reason I bought the Cup of Joe expansion was to get the special dice. Like there could have been nothing else but the dice, and I was going to buy that expansion because
Well, it was the
I
dice and the coffee mug
and
for
the
me.
coffee
So
mug, Sasquatch coffee. So, but yeah, those dice are awesome, and even the people that I play with, they're like, "Oh, this is awesome how these dice are like this." I'm like, "Yeah, the original game just had numbers. You had to know what the numbers were. This is way easier and way
And I
easy.
don't have to remember
Like
anything.
now,
They
when you've
just
been
shows up on the dice.
right, when you've been drinking so much, you're just like, what dice do I? Oh wait, I need to do chops. They're the green ones. Like you can't
Yeah.
screw this up, guys."
Give us a chance.
They do have on the Kickstarter. They also have some add-ons, which I think are really cool. You can get any of their games for $20 each game for $20. Not all of their games for $20. That would be really cool. Unfortunately, I own all of these games that they have on there, so it doesn't really do me
Yep,
any
I
good.
own all their games. So
But still, they're there if you guys want to get. I recommend Tricked Out Hero. It's super fun, a lot of fun. Um, Little harder to get to the table with my kids. I tried playing it with Reese, and he didn't quite understand. I gotta wait till he gets. I gotta teach him card games a little bit more like poker and spades and hearts and that kind of stuff.
yeah, I like it because it is 2 games in one.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I really do too. Then for $15, you can get 30 wooden nickels. So you have your wooden nickels. You can get $12 for the ceramic mug and $5 for 25 wood chop tokens. Super awesome. Um,
It's a bargain.
it is steal of a deal. So worst case, I'm getting the wooden chop tokens for sure, and the base game in the $20 pledge. That's if I can't convince my wife to do more. But because it would be cool to get the wooden nickels too.
Well, if you do get the wooden box, I will have to drive to your house so I could touch it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still hoping that it's going to be a conversation for like tomorrow, when I'm not running around crazy after work. So, um, I don't know. I got to butter her up really good. Like I'll buy her flowers or do something like that. I don't know. Don't tell her. She doesn't listen to the show, so nobody tell her. Yeah. So that's what we got there. Go check it out. You can search for it if you do Flapjacks and Sasquatches company store in your Google search. It's going to take you right to Kickstarter, or even Kickstarter company store gave me a link to it. So yeah, it's really easy to find. Please go help them out. I'd like to try to. These guys have done so much, like come on our show and helped us out with so much stuff that I'd like to see us try to fund them before the end of the like. Hell, I'd like to see if we could do it in a week. That would be pretty awesome. I don't know that they've ever
Well,
had one
they
fund
just
that
got
quick.
another backer, so we'll have to tell John and Bill it's because of us.
Yes, that's right. Way to go, whoever it was that backed. Bill is probably sitting on his phone right now. Ding! Oh, somebody backed. Somebody backed.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I can picture it.
Yeah. So go check that out. Check show notes for the link to the Kickstarter if you don't want to go search for it. It is there in all the places that you can find our show notes. So next on the list here, what do we want to start with? You want to start with your show on Netflix or the news about Arrow?
Let's start with Arrow.
All right, Arrow it is. If you haven't heard already, Stephen Amell posted on, I don't remember if it was Instagram or what. I saw it on YouTube, and it's basically a really like tearful, heartfelt goodbye to the Arrowverse. He is stepping down after uh, a 10 episode run for season 8, which I think it's season 8. Which is the next season. So not the one that's ending right now or in a couple months, but the one next year. So now two things from this. One, super cool that he was so like he seems like a very genuine person. The interviews and stuff that I've seen him, he doesn't, and the conventions and things that I've seen him at, He doesn't seem like, but he is an actor, so you never know. Maybe he's not as heartfelt and torn up by this, but he is the one stepping away. They have not canceled Arrow yet. So maybe they try to keep the show going with the other cast of characters that are there and just not have Arrow in it. They have done episodes before with where there's been no Arrow, but Stephen Amell's still been on the show. He just wasn't playing the Arrow. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I I have to say I watched a couple episodes of it this season, but I haven't really gone back to it. I will. I will finish it, but I think it's time for the show to kind of end. It's run its course. It's told the stories that it can tell, and it's probably time for it to take a break.
Yeah. From my point of view, probably because I stopped watching in season 3. So,
You've missed a
however long,
lot.
many years ago that was.
Well, they're in
So I'm way
season
behind.
7. They're in season 7 right now.
Yeah.
8
So
is next
4
year.
years ago.
So, it, yeah, it's. I thought it was really cool, and it was very like heartwarming to see somebody all torn up about leaving a show like that. So many times you just see actors be like, "Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm out." Or you see a contract dispute or something like that that makes it feel like he's getting out. From all accounts that I've read and interviews that I've heard, he is not leaving because he doesn't want to do the show anymore. He's leaving because he doesn't. They film in Vancouver. His wife and daughter live in LA, and so he's wants to spend more time with his family.
Makes
Oh,
sense to me.
yeah, who can blame a guy for that? So, I think it's
Yeah.
I
And
think
it's
it's
just
cool.
it's just another one of those things. It's like it's gonna be hard to picture. Well, he is Arrow, I guess is what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say.
yeah,
It'd be hard to picture somebody else in the role, just like it'd be hard to picture somebody else as Iron Man.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And anything that they would do, like I'm kind of curious to see um how they work it in because that's going to be a really big decision. Like, do they leave it? You know, they have done parts of seasons, like multiple episodes, like 3, 4, 5 season or episode arcs where the Arrow has been arrested and can't be the Arrow, and somebody else steps in. Do they do it similarly like that, to where he's not dead, he's just gone? Do they make him? I mean, I think it was season 2 to 3, or maybe it was 3 to 4. He calls it quits and doesn't want to be Arrow in the season finale, and him and Felicity were going to get married and run off, and they're living off not even in Star City, um, and they have to. There is no Arrow, or I think Diggle might have been playing as Arrow, so they could do something like that. I'm kind of curious to see what they do with the show in that kind of an aspect, but I also wouldn't be upset if they just said, you know what, we still have The Flash, we still have Legends of Tomorrow, we still have Supergirl, and maybe they spin off something else from this too that is, something more with Diggle and his wife and that side of things, or maybe they do something with, some of the other characters. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say. They could surprise us in many ways, even by just canceling it. So who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. We'll find out. I'm sure there'll be some more news probably in between seasons, season 7 and 8. I'm sure there'll be more news on what's going to be the
Yeah.
word. So if there's no word, then they're probably going to keep the show going and try to run another season without, or maybe another partial season without him in it. Who knows? All right. Next up on the list, what are you watching on Netflix? What did you just finish?
I just finished Queer Eye season 3. And for anybody listening who's in the Kansas City area, you're going to want to watch season 3 because it takes place in Kansas City. It's neat to see your town on TV.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, they're like driving around in the car talking to the person. You're like, hey, I know exactly where they are. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I'm a big fan of the Queer Eye show anyway. I think the Fab Five are fantastic. I liked seeing what they do with their subjects, I guess. If you don't know, somebody nominates a person to get made over by these guys. And they come in and teach them how to dress, how to groom, how to cook. They remake they remodel their house or their apartment or whatever. They even get into cultural things with them, kind of get in touch with yourself kind of deal. You watch the show and you're like, man, I wonder what they could do with me. That kind of thing. Because they do such a great job and they're a lot of fun. And, if you're, I don't know how the best way to put it, uncomfortable with gay men, I totally suggest watching this show because it breaks down a lot of barriers in that arena. You really get to like these guys. You could care less, honestly, that they're gay. I don't care. I didn't care anyway, but I really don't care. These guys are just phenomenal. And they just make everything fun, but they're brutally honest with the people they're dealing with, but in a way that doesn't like hurt their feelings. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch somebody tell somebody your life is a mess and it's your own fault, but do it in a way that says, okay, I understand you've got these problems and this is what's caused this. Let's fix that. And it's very, I don't know, second level to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Me, I would just be like, hey, you need to tighten your seatbelt, Buttercup. This is a rough ride. Life is not easy. Just buck it up. But these guys are not that way. They
suck it up, Buttercup.
Exactly. But these guys are not that way. I mean, they deal with all sorts of socioeconomic classes. I mean, the very first episode, so they did way back, when the 90s, there was Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Yeah, it was on like Bravo or something, yeah.
Yeah, and this is just a reboot, 5 new guys. It's just called Queer Eye. It's on Netflix. Their very first episode of the reboot was like in Kentucky, this old backwoods white guy, and you're thinking, wow, there's a really good chance somebody like that would not only be homophobic, but be completely racist. I mean,
yeah.
But, the guy was cool. He didn't seem to, be any of those things. I guess they are very careful about who they select. But it's all about acceptance of a culture. It really is. These guys come in and they deal with people from these 2 women who owned a barbecue place here in Kansas City, to the backwoods guy in Kentucky, to some lady that was like the member of this church in Georgia. I mean, they cover the gamut and they deal with all different kinds of people, and they're able to connect really well with everybody and really make a difference in these people's lives. And you're watching this going, wow, these guys could be national treasures. I mean, they're good at this. And
that's cool.
They make you feel good about just human beings in general. You could care less, what their gender is, what their sexual preference is, what color they are, what nationality they are. You don't care. I mean, they just do that great of a job. So
Do they?
after a while, you just realize, um, I don't care anymore
Yeah,
about the political aspect of what they're doing. I'm just into the show.
yeah,
It's like I want to see what they do with this house. I want to see what kind of clothes they pick out for this guy. Maybe I can pick up some pointers, that kind of thing.
right.
And I think that's what they want. I think they want people to watch it for what it is and not dissect it for the pieces of it. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, there's a black guy. No, who cares? He's
yeah.
really good. He does a great job. That's all I care about.
Do
So,
they go and so do they go and redo the house still? So I watched it back when it was Queer Eye for a Straight Guy, the first iteration. I watched some of those episodes, but like, do they still go and redo a lot of like? Is it more about the person, or do they go and redo all like everywhere that they're living and turn it into something that is not necessarily that person?
um, they take they get to know the person and then they take that and they will the guy's name is Bobby that does the home interior stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he just gets to know the person and then from what he's gleaned about their personality and everything,
Tries to make
he
something that matches them.
yeah. But
See,
you
and
can
that's
also tell that they've either got a really good budget
oh
or
yeah,
really good partners that are donating some really nice stuff
yeah.
because I've watched shows like Trading Spaces
Mm-hmm.
where, let's be honest, the stuff is cheap. I
Yeah,
mean, they make things, but it's out of MDF
right.
instead of pine or a
Yeah.
hardwood or something. It's MDF, so they're cutting corners, keeping the cost down. No, these guys are putting refrigerators in that have the big computer screen on them. You can see what's in the fridge without opening the fridge. You can, you know, I guess you can even
Your
make your
milk
grocery
is
list and
old.
order food.
Yeah.
So their budget is pretty high. They've gone to places, like on the plaza here, which is not a cheap place to shop, and spent some money. And
That's cool.
so when they remodel a house, you're looking at that going, I am so glad they didn't cut any corners
Yeah.
because this stuff is going to last this person
Well, and
forever.
that's always what I wondered. Like I always had a complaint when they started redoing somebody's house because they would redo the house and at the end it looked really nice. But it's like one, it either wasn't functional or like two, they put like, there's a guy who's got a wife and kids and they put all this really nice stuff in there. Like, um, I have kids. That ain't gonna last. Hate to tell you
Yeah,
that. That fancy thing you put up there, broken in 20 minutes.
yeah.
Guarantee it. Like,
There's
some.
still a little bit of that, but like I said, they get to know the person. Like one of the guys, um, I can't remember if they were married or not, but anyway, their bedroom was down in the basement because the oldest daughter wanted the master bedroom for herself, so they let her have it. And these guys are like, no, master bedroom's for the parents. So when they remodeled it, it became the parents' bedroom. Kid got pushed down into the basement. It's like, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. No, that's actually smart. I like that. All right. Well,
It's
I'll have
like,
to
yes,
I'll have to check
you
it
gotta
out.
you gotta show the kid who actually runs the joint instead of yeah. So
It happens
yeah,
more times than not.
exactly. But for all the reasons people may not watch it, like, oh, five gay guys, I'm not going to watch that. Trust me, watch it.
Very
It
good.
is very, very good. And the impact they make on the people's lives that they just jump into, it's pretty amazing.
Very cool. I'll have to add it to my queue. I'm starting to remove stuff from my Netflix queue because I'm removing all the stuff that's been canceled, and I know they're not going to put more stuff on, like, Jessica Jones, or I guess there's one more of Jessica Jones, the Luke Cage, and all those Marvel ones on Netflix are going away. So I'm removing them from my my list on Netflix, and my list is starting to look bare. So I'll have to add this on there.
There you go. It's worth it. I mean, this season's only 8 episodes, so it doesn't take long to get through it.
Cool.
Season 4, which comes out in this fall, is also Kansas City, and there's actually one of the people that got made over. My wife and I know that guy, so that'd be pretty cool to see somebody we know be on a
really
Netflix
cool.
show. So,
very
pretty
cool.
excited about that.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'd be kind of curious. Like, you're gonna have to hit him up after the show and be like, okay, so are you still like? How much of the stuff did he keep? You know, how much of the stuff is he still doing? The changes that they tried to make to his life in a short period of time, was he able to stick with them? I'd be kind of curious. I've always wondered that. Like, do these people just immediately go and revert back to what they were once, once the show's
Yeah,
over?
I would love it if they did an episode at the end of every season.
Yeah,
where they go back and
just
see
show
what
up.
the people are
Yeah,
like
don't
now.
even tell them that you're coming. Just show up. It's like, surprise visit. Are you still doing this stuff?
How come you moved your daughter back in the master bedroom? What's going on?
Right. Don't go there. So, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, that's for TV shows. We do have this movie that came out, like, this last week that got,
You may or may not have heard of it. I don't know.
it might be another one of the Marvel movies. So I haven't gone and seen it yet. Honestly, I don't know that I'm gonna have time to go see it in the theater. Just life is crazy right now. But Kip went and saw it, and I've heard mixed reviews on it. So, Kip, tell me, why should I go see this movie?
You should, at the earliest convenience, go see Captain Marvel. I don't understand the negative reviews. I'm going to say this one is in my top 5 or 6 of the MCU. It is that good. It's probably number 5 or number 6, maybe even a little higher than that. I'd have to rewatch them all again to just really make sure. But full disclosure, I came in with low expectations because the trailer isn't that good.
Right.
The first trailer came out and you're all excited and you're watching it and you're like, boy, that does not make you want to see the movie. And then the second trailer came out like, it's a little better, but still it doesn't do any justice for the movie. So with that in mind, and then also some negative reviews from people who saw it ahead of time, I'm like, oof, I got to see it. It's a Marvel movie.
Right.
But, I will temper my expectations. Blew all those out of the water.
Well, that's cool.
Completely out of the water. Brie Larson plays it with enough snarkiness that it makes some scenes light that need to be light. She gets serious when she needs to get serious. What is she? She's Kree.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting the Skrulls.
Yep.
Yeah. So the head of the Skrulls, you'll have seen him he played Nolan Sorrento in Ready Player One, and he was in the new Star Wars movies as whatever that Imperial leader's name was. And I'm stalling because I'm looking up his name.
So this idea, how much of the Skrulls and the Skrull Kree war do they
Ben
get
Mendelsohn.
Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn. Sorry, I cut you off. So what's your question?
So how much of the Skrull Kree war do they go into?
The whole thing is truly about that.
Okay.
And on the surface, other stuff happens. It's kind of a accepting. So basically, she was rescued by the Kree. I don't know if she was dead or almost dead when they got her,
Mm-hmm.
and then they turn her into what she is. But she has no memory of her life beforehand. You get all this from the trailer. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not giving anything
that's
away.
not spoiling anything. That's in the
That
trailer. If
doesn't.
you didn't
Yeah.
know that, you haven't been paying attention.
Right. She doesn't even know her name is Carol Danvers.
Okay.
And so the whole movie is her coming back to Earth and starting to figure things out. Things are starting to happen. They're kicking in some memories and, um, figuring out things that she thought were a weakness are now are becoming a strength. Um, it's just, I just want to say all this stuff that would give the movie away, so I don't want to do that. But the human aspect of this movie is fantastic. Um, the first Captain America movie was good. It was a great origin story. But, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I got to see this over and over again. Captain Marvel's origin story, to me, I could see it a bunch of times.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I would even. Well, we were going to go see it this last weekend again at the theater, but our weekend got away with it from us and we didn't, so we may go see it this weekend. It's worth paying again to see it in the theater. It's that good. Um, there's some things that are interesting, like, of course, they had the CGI Samuel L. Jackson's face to make him look 20 years younger,
Right.
25 years younger,
Right.
and it's seamless.
Oh,
You're
that's
like
cool.
looking at it going, holy cow, they did a great job.
That's
It's
cool.
it's it's just amazing. And they CGI'd Clark Gregg's face to make Agent Coulson look younger, but let's face it, he already looks young, so it really
Yeah,
wasn't much
right.
of a difference. But it's Agent Coulson's origin story in a way too,
Oh, cool.
because he's like this rookie, like almost first day on the job when all this stuff starts happening. So it's pretty cool. I don't know anything about the comic book angle on all this, so the Kree and the Skrulls, I'm not in the know. So I'd like for you to see this so you can tell me if it held the script.
Sure.
But there's some things in there that I didn't see coming when they happened. Like, holy shit, didn't see that coming. So I'd be
No,
curious to see your take on that.
well, this is a movie that I really want to see because I want to see more. I want to see them introduce the Skrulls to the Marvel universe. I want to see the Skrulls are a bad guy that has been around in the Marvel universe for a really long time, and they've been used in very interesting ways, and I'm hoping that maybe some of those ways they've been introduced in the comic books or used in the comic books um, can be used in the movies as well. That would be some really interesting stories that can be told. Um, so I would like to see some of that. Do we get to see? Do you see any scrolls that have the four powers of the Fantastic Four?
No.
Because that's a scroll too. There's a super scroll in the comic books. Because the scrolls, I believe their origin, and I'm kind of just doing this off memory, but I believe their origin came from the Fantastic Four. I think they were originally a Fantastic Four bad guy, and they were shapeshifters, but there
Yeah,
was a
they're shapeshifters in the movie.
yeah, the Super Scroll is like a genetically modified scroll that has, like, I think in the comic books it was like one arm is made out of stone, the other one's fire, one leg like stretches and one leg is invisible. Like that's how it's pictured, it's like all four Fantastic Four people in one big hulking green dude, and they were always entertaining, and I like the Skrulls as a bad guy. I like them as a race, and the Kree, I believe, are the ones that are creators of the Inhumans, and so it just helps kind of when I heard that this was going to take place or kind of have some of the Skrull Kree war in it, I was hoping that it would be a lot. And so when you said that's the whole movie or most of the movie, that's got me really stoked because that's a very cool historic like milestone, I guess is what I would call it. Like it's a point in comic books that series, that Skrull Kree war is big and well thought of in the comic book worlds. So
Well, the way it goes with the Kree, um, it gives you a good idea on how Ronan ends up the way he does in Guardians of the Galaxy.
oh, very
Because
cool.
in Captain Marvel, he's in Captain Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't have the black makeup.
Yeah.
You know, he's blue, but he doesn't do all this stuff with the black on his
Yeah.
face. He's not a religious
He hadn't gone fanatic yet.
terrorist
Yeah.
yet.
Right.
But what happens makes you, if you think about it, you can draw a line from the end of this movie to him becoming the extremist.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And which is pretty cool. If you're
Yeah.
paying attention, you're like, okay, now I can see where you're going. You know, because yeah, one of my favorite characters was Ronan in the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, it's
Yeah.
too bad it had to end right there, but so it was nice to see him in this movie and almost a little bit of an origin for himself. Almost, you know, he's not the religious extremist yet, but that's pretty cool. The whole dang it, there's so much I want to say, but it just gives too much away.
Well,
It's tough.
I'm gonna try to see. I'm gonna see when I can get it fit into my schedule and get out
All
there
I
and
know
go
is if
see
you've
it.
seen the
So,
movie, you're gonna know what I mean by this. You're gonna love the cat.
oh yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna love the cat.
I have heard it. I have heard that from multiple people. So really
Yeah,
cool.
the cat is great.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm glad that you really enjoyed it because I know you were kind of on the fence about the whole thing. I guess the last question I have for you about it is so I know they're two different movies, but they're both kind of origin stories and they both have female leads. How does this one rank up against Wonder Woman? Is this Marvel's answer to the female lead? Was Brie Larson a strong enough, not a strong enough actress? Is Captain Marvel a strong enough character in this movie that you like Wonder Woman was the lead even when she wasn't on the screen. Wonder Woman was the movie.
Yeah, and
Did
she
Captain
is the
Marvel have the
movie,
same thing here?
but Wonder Woman started off as a badass,
Yeah.
and the world had to come to thinking to her way of thinking
Yeah.
that here's somebody who's to be reckoned with. Captain Marvel's the opposite. She's not a bad. She doesn't know she's a badass, and the world has to get her into the frame of mind where she realizes she is.
Okay.
She's confident. She's not afraid of a fight, but she doesn't fully understand
How big
the
of a
extent of
badass
her
she is.
power until the end of the movie. And then you're
Cool.
like, oh yeah, kick ass.
That's cool. No,
Yeah. So is one better than the other? No. I think they're
no.
pretty equal. I
Okay.
think Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel I liked pretty much equally.
Good, good. Because really, the only reason I asked that is because I want to see more female lead characters. There are lots of really cool female characters in the comic book world that are, that can be fleshed out and have movies of their own that they haven't. I mean, Black Widow is one of them. I would love to see a Black Widow movie. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
I want to see her time back when she was a Russian spy. There's so much more. There's so much more to that character, and there's so many other female characters, and even some of the newer ones that have come up. I mean, this idea that in the comic books, and I have been out of current comic books for a little while, so I don't know if some of these are still around. But at one point, there was a female Iron Man. Riri Williams was a basically just like Tony Stark, except she was female and a genius, and built her own armor like, Tony Stark. And so it was different upbringing, different stories that are being told, and a different way of dealing with it because it was more of like I think she was more like teenage genius or, like younger idea. And
Yeah.
a whole different concept when you throw a female as in that role as opposed to, Tony Stark, and different things that they can take and talk on and do. And we already know Endgame is coming. We already know that Endgame is going to be the end for some characters or at least some actors.
Well, at least for
And
this phase.
yeah, and it would be really cool if we could see some things like, okay, maybe Robert Downey Jr. steps down as Iron Man, still plays as Tony Stark, and somebody else picks up the Iron Man suit, and it could be anybody. Can it
Yeah.
can we get some more, could there be a female Iron Man? Could we get a female Thor type character, that's its own character and not just, shoved in there. So that's what I was hoping
Absolutely.
for, that this movie could help us. Wonder Woman, I thought, made a big, huge step in accepting this. I was hoping this movie kind of did the same thing, and it sounds like it did. So
It did. And I really do. I agree with you. I really do hope they make a Black Widow movie because ever since the first Avengers, where her and Hawkeye are standing there and she goes, "This is just like Budapest all over again." I've wanted to see that movie. Show me what the hell happened in
yeah,
Budapest.
show me Budapest.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yes, if this sparks more of those things, great. But even if it doesn't, go see this movie. It's worth it.
Very cool. Very
And I
cool.
didn't think it was going to be, so there you have it.
Perfect. Well, we've gone on for a while now, so we'll probably wrap this up here. I think next week we are going to talk about the second in-game trailer that I know has been out, like came out last week, but we will definitely talk about it more next week. We could spend a really long time on that, and I don't want to keep this episode going too long. We had a couple of long episodes, so trying to get us reined back in. Between Kip and I, we could pretty much talk about anything forever. So, um, sometimes we have to rein ourselves in and put a time limit on it.
Absolutely.
So next week we'll talk about that, and I'm sure we will have a lot more other stuff to talk about. Um, I can't think of anything else off of my head because my brain's fried. I've been today. Work was
Yeah.
crazy today, and then right from work, went and started. You can see my Team Empower shirt, which is a program I'm doing at the kids' school for third and fourth graders. Me and three other guys and a couple of male teachers are teaching boys how to be gentlemen and respectful and of everybody and not bullies and that kind of stuff. Trying to help boys out that are getting ready to go to middle school and and in the process going and running. So we did a lot of running today for the first day of the program, and then immediately turned and went to soccer practice with my youngest son, and then came home, ate dinner, got them to bed, and now I'm doing this, and my brain is
Are you
fried.
tired?
My brain is shot. It's not even so much the tired part. It's I got no brain cells left. So, um, yeah, that's where
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap this up at. So, thanks everyone for listening. Go check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do it right through Facebook, or you can search for Kip Morph on YouTube. It's an easy way to find us. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow that man over there at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. And, speaking of Twitter, make sure you go check out our Twitter page. Go check out Geekvice's Twitter, because in there is a new special card that Bill wants to add to the company store that John does not want him to add, and he needs 50 likes and 50 retweets. So go find it. It's Worn Through is the name of the card, and it is going to be a killer card that I will make sure that I get every time I play the game with this expansion, because it's awesome. So go find that on Twitter, and of course, as always, you can reach us by email at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks everyone for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next week.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.